Yeah, I decided that I wanted to do a long video because why not? I just finished this game and I'm gonna do a review of it. It's a long RPG, so of course it's gonna take a while. Paper Mario, released in 2000 for the Nintendo 64, is the second Mario RPG. In fact, it was the follow-up to Mario RPG on the Super Nintendo. Here's the original title screen for Paper Mario. As you can see, it's called Mario RPG 2. It's literally a sequel to RPG. But it's more than a sequel to a brand new start of a Mario series, the Paper Mario franchise, and one that is very fond of by many Mario fans because of its unique charm as well as its great story. Seeing as Square Enix was not there at Nintendo at all to make a sequel to Mario RPG, Nintendo got their own RPG makers, Intelligent Systems, to make Paper Mario. And they followed a lot of these things that Square did in the first Paper Mario RPG game, but this time did their own thing. Time Attacks are here, but there's only one partner, and there is no Bowser and Peach to play as. Well, you can play as Peach, but not like in the actual battle system, you know what I mean. In Paper Mario, you're Mario exploring the world, trying to save the day. We'll get to the story we get for the entire game. But basically, you run, you jump, and you use your hammer in order to solve minor puzzles and platforming challenges, as well as your partners. You'll get multiple different partners throughout the game, and of course, you encounter wild enemies as well as boss fights. Though you have multiple partners, you only have one in battle at a time. You have multiple options for attacking as well as the use of items. Mario has two modes of attack: the jump ability, which you can also have multiple badges to have increase it by pressing the A button. You can time it in order to do a second hit, as well as a hammer attack, which you need to hold to the left and then let go when it hits the right star point, which I like a lot. But honestly, I think the best way to talk about this game is literally just to actually go through it each bit at a time, like we're going through a walkthrough. Because other than that, it'll just be a little confusing, alright? So with that, let's get into Paper Mario from the get-go. Prologue, a plea from the stars. There is this thing called the Star Rod that can grant wishes, and it's very powerful, guarded by the 7 star spirits. Unfortunately for them, Bowser, along with his new comrade, Kammy Koopa, which is Kamek but gender swapped, steals the Star Rod for his own misdeeds. It also transforms all the 7 star spirits into cards, which he's going to seal across the Mushroom Kingdom. While this is going on, Mario and his brother Luigi are invited to a party at Peach's castle, so of course they go. Mario has some romantic time with Peach, seems like they're about to kiss or something, or maybe something else, you know, it's all nice romantic. But then all of a sudden, Peach's castle starts going to the sky because, Bowser has it lifted right up into the sky. I hope that he doesn't do the same thing in Mario Galaxy. Bowser, of course, comes in and confesses that he's in love with Peach, even though we already knew that, and that he's gonna beat Mario because he wants to showcase that he's Peach's true love. Well, you know, that's Bowser's main goal. He wants to marry Peach, but he also wants to defeat Mario. And with his new Star Rod, he's able to do so, and literally boots Mario from the castle, killing him right at the beginning of the game. Well, that was a short game. Well, it looks like he's rolling the credits here, so I guess this game wasn't that long. I thought it was longer than that. Oh, which is a prologue. The Star Spirits, seeing Mario's dead corpse, decide to revive him since he's their only hope of saving them. And luckily for Mario, a Goomba girl sees his dead corpse and decides to bring him home. So yeah, Mario is alive, and he sees a Goomba family. One of them has a kid whose name is Goombario, who is seriously named after Mario, but they kept his Goomba name. Goombario is quite literally the best name ever. So Mario's going to try to leave to go on his adventure, but Kammy Koopa decides to stop him with a brick right in his path because, you know, she doesn't like Mario for obvious reasons. After falling off a balcony, and don't worry, Mario falls like a piece of paper, because he is paper. He's able to find a hammer with Goompa, who is a Goom Grandpa, great character. That was sarcastic, actually, like the Goomba Grandpa. He then encounters his first enemy, Junior Troopa, not counting the Bowser boss fight. This is the first enemy in the game. Junior Troopa is a baby Koopa who hates Mario and wants to fight him throughout the entire game. During this part of the game, though, it doesn't have time attacks, so for this short period of time, we can't do anything, which is pretty strange, but whatever. But luckily, he is super easy, and we get tons of XP. Depending on what enemies to defeat, you will get star points, which are basically your XP. Once you get to 100, you can upgrade either your health, FP, or your badge points. HP is obvious. Flower points are basically your special moves, which are pretty useful, and badge points basically allows you to use more badges. Some badges have more points, and badges are useful, but they're not as useful in this game as they are in the future Paper Mario games, I should say. Anyway, in the open world, you can use your hammer to hit trees and knock down items, as well as destroy blocks, so it's pretty useful to have, as well as get first strike on enemies. Basically, when you see wild enemies out, you can either jump or use your hammer on them to get first strike. Those certain enemies you don't want to hit them a certain way because they might hurt you. If they have spike heads, you don't want to jump on them, you want to use your hammer, and vice versa, and so on and so forth. So keep in mind, enemies can attack you as well, so you gotta keep a watch out for that, and they'll get first strike. Mario RPG is an RPG, but it's also a little bit of platformer, so make sure to keep out and exploring for certain items that might come along your way. As I mentioned earlier, there is enemies that have spike top helmets that you can't use jumps on, and your invite partner also needs to watch out for that. Once you return Goomba back, he will tell Goombario that he can accompany Mario on his adventure, Goombario being your first partner in Paper Mario. He's a Goomba with a blue hat and some teeth. Goombario is not the best partner in the game, but you know, he can tattle on people, like a tattletale. Literally, he's a tattletale. And despite being a Goomba himself, Goombario will help Mario beat up other Goombas, because I guess they're the only good Goombas. Goombario has two abilities, Headbutt, which is basically like Mario's jump, and also Tattle. Tattle just gives him you information on enemies, which is kind of useless, seeing the fact that the Mario Wiki exists, and other Paper Mario Wiki stuff, so yeah, sorry Goombario, you're not too useful anymore, are you? The first area isn't too hard, and you even find a heart box. Heart box will heal all your HP and FP all the way up, so that's pretty useful. On the road, though, you'll find a red and blue Goomba who are trying to tell you not to pass because they're Bowser's minions, of course, and that this belongs to Goomba King. The Goomba Bros attack Mario, but they are pretty easy to defeat. In fact, the brother will start crying if you kill one of them. It's pretty funny, actually. Well, actually, they're not dead, they're just crying, and they go running back to the Goomba King. This is the Goomba King. He's got crazy eyes, and he talks weird. Goomba King tells Mario that he cannot pass. He's Gandalf. Goomba King isn't too hard, since, you know, he's just the first boss in the game. And once you defeat him, he'll hide like a little bitch inside of his castle. But he also gives away that his Switch is hiding in a bush, which you just press here, which of course causes his castle to collapse right before your very eyes. And that was the pretty easy prologue of the beginning of Paper Mario. Anyway, we then cut to one of the parts of the game that's pretty interesting. We actually get to see Bowser and Peach is up to. Kammy tells Bowser that Mario's up ahead, but Bowser's like, don't worry, he'll never stop me. Keep telling yourself, Bowser. The reason why Bowser thinks he's so good is because he's got these guys called the Koopa Bros, who are just Team NT, and they are going to stop Mario. Yeah, I like these guys a lot, because they have pretty cool designs. Anyway, Mario is finally heading into Toad Town, the main hub of Paper Mario. Toad Town has tons of shops that you can go shop at, as well as areas to get badges, places to sleep at, which are star houses, as well as a place to get your fortune told, which will tell you where you need to go in the next game if you don't have a wiki up ahead, if you get lost. Anyway, we go up, you can see where Peach's castle used to be, and it's pretty sad that it's gone. Mario's crying. But Mario goes to the right, and he goes to the star area, where the shooting stars are there, where he finds the first star guy, who tells Mario that he needs to go save the rest of them in order for him to stop Bowser. Once this is done, we actually cut to Peach, who's crying, because of course she's crying. What else did you expect her to do? Bowser tries to riz up Peach, thinking that because Mario's gone, she'll automatically love him, but that's just not how it works. Unfortunately, Peach is not like giant turtles. I don't know what she doesn't see in Bowser. I mean, he's a catch. Look at that figure. Luckily for Peach, she finds a Luma. Actually, no, just a little star spirit named Twink. Okay, this game came out in 2008. Twink did not become a slang. Yeah, right. Don't worry about it. Unfortunately for Peach, Twink can't really grant a lot of wishes since he's a little baby star, but he's gonna help Peach the best he can. Anyway, Peach gives Twink a necklace, and Twink's like, yeah, I'll give this to Mario. You count on me. And soon after that, he hits Mario on the head, but then he gives him a necklace, so it's okay. In case you're wondering what this does, it actually allows him to do action commands. Yes, it takes to this point in the game in order for Mario to actually use action commands. I do not know why it takes so long for them to do this in the game. The game is long, so most of the time we'll be using it, but it's kind of ridiculous that it wasn't there from the get-go, alright? We should have action commands from the get-go. Since there's not much to do in Toad Town, since a lot of things are blocking the way from Mario, and there's weird toads that are all black, and the right side where he's supposed to go, and these bad guys aren't have their badge system set up yet. Mario goes to the fortune teller, who accidentally knocks him out by opening his door, called Merlo. Actually, his name is Merlon, and there's another guy called Merlo somewhere else. I don't know, I actually got my names confused, whatever. He tells a very long and boring story, a story that's so boring it makes Mario fall asleep. Though he does help Mario by showcasing that these toads are not toads at all. In fact, these toads over here are actually, in fact, the Koopa Bros. Using his magic, he reveals this. So Mario goes right after them, starting Chapter 1, Storming Koopa Bros Fortress. On the road there, we get a pretty basic grassland here, with pretty basic enemies. The only new enemy here being a Koopa Bro. The rest of them are just basic Goombas. I would go over each one, but they're really not that interesting. Unless there's a really unique enemy, I'll go over them. Basically, there's Goombas. Some of them have helmets on them. There's spikes. Some of them are Paragoombas, can only be jumped on. Pretty basic. The unique gimmick about the Koopas here, who have shades on, is that you gotta flip them over in order to do more damage. And also, when they're flipped over, they lose a turn for them. When you're out of that little small grassland area, we get to Koopa Village, which, according to this guy, is being overrun by fuzzies. Because the reason why that's a big deal is because fuzzies take Koopa shells and leave them naked. But Mario's here to save the day, and the Koopa is pretty happy to get his shell back. So in the Koopa Village, you have to go to get rid of every fuzzy that is there, because, you know, that's not good. You gotta get rid of every single one of them in order to save this village. Including this Koopa in this house. This Koopa's lost his shell from this fuzzy, which Mario has to go chase after. Of course, he has a giant backyard it looks like leading out to more wilderness. Jeez Louise, Kooper, you sure have a big house. After chasing the fuzzy for a while, he decides to play a game by hopping through trees in order to hide from you, but if you are good at have good eyes, it's not hard. It's not hard for me. Mario then returns Kooper his shell back, and yes, his name is Kooper. What a great name. Kooper tells Mario that he's a big fan of this guy called Colorado, who goes on adventures. He would like to go on an adventure himself, and he joins Mario on his adventure. Kooper, one of my favorite party members, because he is super useful. You can use Kooper's shell in order to grab long-distance items, which is pretty useful. It also uses the first attack, which is pretty useful since Kooper's shell attacks are very great. Also, you'll find this guy who looks like Ballyhoo from Mario Party 8, who's like a worm. And every time you find him, he'll give you a question, and his questions are pretty easier to answer, and when you do win, you will basically get a nice star piece. And what do star pieces do? Well, they're collectibles, and you can buy stuff from a star shop, badges, and that's about it. They're not that great, honestly, but they are fun to collect. So anyway, Kooper, he has the shell toss ability, which works exactly like Mario's hammer, which I like that timing, and does a good amount of damage. It hits most enemies, which is pretty good, since certain party members can hit certain enemies. The fact he can hit pretty much all of them is pretty great. He's also the first partner to actually hit every enemy with his special ability types. Each one of them will actually be able to hit all enemies in a row, with depending on the upgrades you have, and that's really great. I love Kooper. He's so good. Power Shell, love it. After traveling for a while, you'll finally come across Koopa Bros Fortress, which is pretty large. Into the hide, you'll find a new enemy type, the Bomb, which, of course, after a while, will start to explode and can cause damage to you, which is not good. Unique thing in Paper Mario, the first one, is the fact that your partners can get damaged, but they do not have their own health bar, so they'll just be out of use for a while, so you don't have to worry about them fainting or anything like that. They also cannot use items or anything like that, so that's kind of useless. The only thing they can do is swap partners and do their own attacks, so that's kind of annoying. Throughout the fortress, you'll find one of the Koopa Bros who will lay traps out for Mario to deal with. So yeah, the Koopa Bros are just assholes. There's some pretty basic puzzle-solving stuff here. You gotta use switches in order to move stairs. It's a pretty basic, easy dungeon. Though later, you'll actually find a room full of bombs imprisoned. Jeez Louise, who imprisoned bombs? Also, when you're in the dungeon, you'll actually find this area where there's a fire bar. If you keep jumping over it, if you don't fail, you actually can get a bunch of coins, which is pretty neat. When you get up to the top of one of the towers, you find this question mark block with one of the Koopa Bros left, and of course, it drops you to your death. Well, to the bottom of the pit. You wouldn't die because you're made out of paper. Here you'll find the Bomb cage. You're actually inside it, and you'll find a girl Bomb here. You can tell she's a girl because she's pink. Her name's Bombette, and she's like wants to help you out, of course. And you get another teammate. In one chapter, you get 2 teammates. Isn't that great? Yeah, she's part of the Bomb Rebellion, and she's a pretty good teammate. And of course, we're going to need her to break out of here because you can see the crack in the wall there. And you know what that means? It means that it can be blown up. Bombette's pretty alright teammate. Her best thing is her special abilities, which is the bomb. You mash the A button, it can blow up enemies, do a lot of damage there. And there's also later upgrades that allows her to blow up more than one. Her body slam ability is just okay, though. That one you have to hold the A button and let go. I'm not a big fan of that one compared to her special abilities. It's just okay. It's like the hammer, but not as good. One of my favorite things about Koopa Bros Fortress, if you hit a switch here, it'll lift up these stairs from the water, and these Koopas go crazy about it. I don't know why they're so scared, but it's funny as hell. Once you get back to the top of the tower, Bombette here, you'll go find a bridge, which the Koopa Bros are ready for you. They've got cannons, and they're ready to fire at you. For these cans, we get a new enemy type, the Bullet Bill, which of course is something we've seen in Mario all the time, as well as the actual cannons themselves. These cannons aren't very good at attacking you. They shoot out bullet bills, which bullet bills can be taken out in like one hit, so they're pretty bad, but they have pretty good defense, meaning you need a good hard attack in order to hit them. So they can be annoying a little bit like that. You gotta figure out what's a harder attack, and basically using a lot of your flower power moves will definitely be the best course of action there. Of course, Kooper's pretty great here using Power Shell. Look at this, look at them, destroy the whole thing. I love it. I love Kooper. Anyway, once you finally take out those tanks, you get to fight Bowser. But Bowser looks a little different here. He looks a little more, well, construction-y. Bowser will start taunting you, but he won't do a lot of strong attacks, and he only uses iconic fire breath. It also sounds like there's multiple people inside Bowser, which is kind of confusing, but whatever. After a couple hits, Bowser will be destroyed, and that was a lot easier than it should be, you know? After all, he has the Star Rod, but oh, I guess that wasn't really Bowser. No, surprise, surprise, it's the Koopa Bros. Let's fight them one-on-one. Well, I guess 2-on-4? They have this attack where they like to stack on top of each other, like it's a Goomba Tower, but don't worry, we can knock them off each other by using a power jump. Yes, you want to use your badge for power jump and all the other stuff in order to get them off. It's pretty basic stuff, you know. The main goal here is to actually keep hitting them until they get knocked off each other, because then they are less strong as individuals rather than a tower. And when you finally knock them off their tower, they go falling on their backs, and you know, turtles aren't very good on their backs. This fight can be a little difficult here, but as long as you have the right strategies here, using your items carefully and all the other stuff, you'll be able to take out the Koopa Bros, no trouble. And then with that, Koopa Bros have fallen down into their own prison, which is pretty funny. Also, it looks like they have a picture of Peach inside of Bowser, which is pretty funny. With that, we saved our first Star Spirit, which is, what was his, like, old Grandpa Star? Oh well, whatever his name is, we saved him. End of chapter!